And now for the absolutely fun part of getting it all put back together. You can see the hammer there. Oh, kitty cat. See if you can actually see what I'm doing this time. Oh, where did my, there it is. Yeah, sorry you didn't see that. Couldn't quite see without getting down in there close. So that locks the trigger. And of course the trigger's just kind of flopping around because it doesn't have spring pressure on it. And now for the fun part, getting the disconnect back in there. That's always the challenge of the day. And then, let's see if you can see that. I don't know if you can actually see that, but you see the trigger and the disconnect there? And now the sear is going to go right in on top of all that. See how that all lays together? There's the sear right on top of the disconnect, on top of the trigger. And make sure it's all lined up in there. We drop the sear spring, or sear pin in. And let's zoom back out again. I guess you could kind of consider this a a full 1911 disassembly of sorts, even though I really didn't go too heavily into you know, what everything was and exactly what I was doing at all times. And then of course here I got the hammer back in. You can see the hammer, the sear there, disconnect, trigger, hammer strut, sear spring. Sear spring goes back in and lays over top of all those. And this is usually where people screw up when putting back together a 1911 from full disassembly, because if you don't have the sear spring on everything correctly, you'll end up putting your gun back together, try and cock it, and find that your sear and hammer are not engaging as they should. And one thing that will really make it a lot easier to get your mainspring housing in, like I said, I should have had the hammer down to begin with. It'll make it a lot easier for getting your mainspring housing on if you have the hammer all the way down. Make sure it's all the way down, not to half cock, or else you're going to have a lot of problem, because that's a lot of spring tension to override if you have to try and push the mainspring housing all the way on. So there's the hole for the mainspring housing. Drop that pin in. Let's see. There we go. That pin's in. Then, and remember, the thumb safety can only go on when the hammer is cocked. So, and it's easier to come down from the top because the plunger will come out a little bit, and if you come down from the top, kind of push that in, and if you come down from the top, you can usually come down around it, and it just makes it a little bit easier for getting around that plunger, for putting your thumb safety back in. Then come on, barrel length. Sorry. It's again, not even showing what I'm doing. And this is the time to do a function check. Make sure that you have everything working properly, because if you've taken it apart, like I said, if you don't get those springs all lined up like they should be, you could end up with a non-functioning 1911. So I'm happy to say I got it all put together correctly.